Hello again, welcome to beautiful Bridlington. It's now Sunday, the 30th of December 2025. The wind is from the west-northwest at 12 miles an hour. This morning the feels like temperature was -6. Currently the air temperature is 3 degrees. There'll be a 5.4 metre high tide just before lunchtime this morning. Already the tide is rising and I can see some rough sea conditions out where there seems to be some sort of reef or sandbar a few miles out from Bridlington. We travelled here from West Yorkshire this morning at a really early start. Again, you see Bridlington, you've got this beautiful winter sun. I think this is the best time to come to Bridlington, actually, when all the crowds have gone. You can arrive here, have a good look around. No difficulties filming, you know, with people around. Let's have a look at what boat is really in Bridlington Harbour Commission's boatyard this morning. This is one of the lobster fishing boats. Here we can see the lines of that. And over there you've got the pirate ship in for some maintenance. And this is the boat lift at Bridlington Harbour. You can see the dredger over there. Just after 9 AM. It takes about 2.5 hours to drive over from where we are, just south of Leeds. There's been a lot of heavy rain in Bridlington recently. Just yesterday, we were going to come over on the Saturday, but there was 31 millimetres of rain in Bridlington and some flooding on the way over. This is where the Gypsy Race River enters the harbour. I'm wearing gloves due to the temperature, so I can't zoom in and out. Got some of these flags here flying on this whatever it is down here. Haven't seen any of those flags on the lamppost here in Bridlington. Now we had you know what the flags can be associated with these days when you see them on lampposts halfway up and so on, but very rewardingly in Wakefield. The other day, last Sunday I think it was, there was a women against racism, and they were draped in those flags. It was the most heartening thing to see these people sort of walking through Wakefield. Here we've got the summer sky, the Guernsey Lass there, and over there we've got the Three Brothers, I think it is. And on property that the council is responsible for, you know, the infrastructure of the city centre. I haven't seen any of those flags, which you know, is a good thing for Bridlington, I think. You've got some more of them flying over there. I'm not sure what these things mean, whether there is a meaning. And Bridlington is a port, isn't it? It's also a tourist spot. And it's the allegedly the lobster fishing capital of Europe. and no one here. Oh, actually, there's Tilly's coffee shop open there, and the donut, waffles and donuts. That's the beauty of Bridlington, I think. There's always something to do, always something open. And if there's not, even if you arrive much earlier than this, you've got the beauty of this once extremely popular seaside resort, and still a good destination for day trips and holidays, and particularly any family sort of with kids. You're going to be, only downside to it can sometimes be the weather. Look at that, how beautiful. This is the Gypsy Race Dredger, and I'm filming this in 4K 60 frames a second. Now here we have Bridlington Crane Wharf. Look how beautiful that is in the early morning light. And over there we've got a lot of seagulls and the fishing fleet, Bridlington fishing fleet, of which quite a few are actually tied up with it being Sunday, but still empty spaces there. So I wonder whether actually part of the fleet is out at sea. Now, as I said, there's a rising tide. Best to arrive at Bridlington when there is a tide. You look at online timetables if you're sort of not familiar with that, because it's a bit disappointing to arrive here and find out you know, the harbour hasn't any water in it, it's just mud on the bed of the harbour there. I can see here the steps look to be relatively, you've got to look if you want to go down there. I don't recommend it, but that's underneath Bridlington Crane Wharf, because you can slip on the seaweed down there. Here again we've got the old sea latrine, and looking this way we can see the Gypsy Race Dredger on the right, the pavilion, Bridlington Pavilion over there. Now we're looking to the west now, and looking down here we're looking to the southwest. The coastline curves around over there down towards Sperm Point, and inland from that you've got Hull and Beverley. Here are some of the commercial enterprises. You've got the Fast Launch there, the Ocean Crusader, the Heidi J fishing trips, Yorkshire Lass 2, and of course the pirate ship, which I've been on. That gives I think a great ride out into the bay. No sign of the Yorkshire Belle. I suspect that the Yorkshire Belle is perhaps at its winter quarters or having some maintenance done. Here we have the power boat. I've got a video on my channel of being on the power boat actually, and out here we've got the beautiful Flamborough Head with the early morning sun over in the east and heading south there, illuminating the white chalk. And over here, I doubt you can see it at that great distance, but right on the horizon there, there's rough waves breaking on the sandbar outside Bridlington. Worth having just another look here. And there you've got Bridlington North Beach. And can you see by the swell here coming in that the sea is quite rough? There's quite a what looks like a 2-metre swell there breaking against the harbour wall, the sea wall rather, north of Bridlington Harbour. Let's walk into the sun. A good time to come to Bridlington to film it would be on the 5th and 6th of December 2025, when there'll be a 6-metre high tide, I think on the evening of the 5th, around about 1600 hours, if I can remember correctly. 6-metre high tide then. No, I rang the office of one of the fishing officers there last week and asked when do the fishing boats come in, because if you'll notice, despite this being perhaps the 112th video of Bridlington, I very rarely catch a fishing boat coming into harbour, and I thought they came in at high tide, but according to the chap I spoke with, who has an office overlooking all of this, they just come in any time they want actually. So did you catch that? It was shaking a bit because I had to take my glove off to operate the phone. But a tremendous, probably 30 feet high wave and spray, backlit, and you know, with the dark cloud base there behind it. It must be terrible out there actually, the sea conditions. And we have got a stiffening wind here in Bridlington this morning. Here we have the sort of guard wire that if for example, emergency services or anyone has to come along here, they can clip onto that with a carabiner, presumably. Those conditions on here can be quite difficult, with great waves breaking over the harbour. Don't you think it's a beautiful time to film Bridlington when you've got the sun behind you here? The sun's right behind me and it's low down, and look at the illumination there. You wouldn't get that, I don't think, at lunchtime when the sun would be overhead. Well, I filmed this in 4K HDR. Supposedly filmed originally in Dolby Vision, but well, it is. But I've got to put that through an editing software. Then of course it goes onto YouTube, and I don't know about the quality. I sometimes look at it and I think it's is that really 4K? I don't think it is Dolby Vision by the time it's uploaded and so on, but it's just how it is. It reminds me in some ways how back in the years gone by, when we used to have film cameras, you could take a fantastic shot with a good camera. We used to have SLR cameras back then, and then you'd put the colour negative film into boot or somewhere, you get it back, and it would sometimes seem quite washed out. So although on the iPhone, when you play this back, you know, it looks fantastic and sharp and everything, I'm not sure that what you're actually seeing on YouTube is the same actually. I think is it limited to 1080p anyway? I'm not sure about that. Walking now towards the Ganzilas statue. Beautiful statue, with an inscription right down on the bottom there. You'd have to more or less go on your hands and knees to read it down here. And whether there's relevance to the fishing families, probably currently and in times gone by. And I've just noticed for the first time you notice the names on that? They must be the fishing families then. Sorry about the lack of zooming in and so on, and I can't take separate shots today and stitch them all together because it's just so cold. There's no way you can take your gloves off here at Bridlington, especially if you're my age. And I've just turned 77. Look at the swell coming in. I think if you had an experienced eye for sea conditions, just one which I don't have, I'm a sort of a landlubber from West Yorkshire, but look at the waves hitting the harbour wall, then going back, the swell going back out there. I bet one of the locals here would be able to say straight away that there were rough sea conditions further out at sea. Now we'll just sprint up those steps, 2 at a time, get a bit of exercise and walk into Bridlington. You'll notice all the fun fairs there are closed, but you can hear something. And even at this time, in midwinter in December, on a freezing Sunday morning, you've got something open here. I find it a bit, honestly to say, so you've got an ATM actually inside a gambling place. I can't, you know, I can't understand that actually. Slot machines, you've got an ATM inside it. Modern times, I suppose. Good wins there. 3 brass monkeys. Here you've got the Apollo pub, restaurant, bar. Walking here past the Black Sheep. Disappointingly, you've still got this old Heavenly Services funeral parlour smack bang in the middle of town. I wonder how many people it puts off from coming to Bridlington, you know. This used to be the McDonald's, of course. Now it's the Goat Sports Bar. Times change. And here we're looking down onto the harbour. This must have been one of the old routes down onto the harbour in days gone by, perhaps even the main route. Maybe it still is on this side. And over there you've got St Catherine's Hospice charity, I think, and then over here you've got so probably doesn't look tremendous, the front of it now, but you've got Topham's ice cream parlour. Now I can remember having an ice cream in there. It used to be a tremendous place in years gone by. I'm talking about back in the 1970s. Fudge-tastic there. Thai cuisine there, that's good. And of course, probably Bridlington is also the fish and chip capital of the Yorkshire coast, perhaps. Got Ramsden's there, pawnbrokers. Some of these old historic buildings there, which at one time, I wonder if they still are, sort of the posher part of Bridlington. And here we've got, that used to be Samuel's fish and chips. Got peacocks there, New Look, Coupland's Bakery. You get a good sausage roll there. Up there you've got the Greg's, the new Greg's Cafe. Let's just walk up and have a look at that, because the choices are now more limited in Bridlington now that unfortunately Costa Coffee has closed here. Can we see how popular Greg's is on this early morning now, with a toilet and selling confectionery as well as pasties. You can see a lineup of confectionery there in the middle, and here we've got the British Art Foundation, where later on this morning I'll be trying to buy some history books. And here again we've got the shopping centre at Bridlington, where you've got Argos, Sports Direct, Heron Foods, Greg's. Well, Greg's is behind me, isn't it? And those are the shops. O2 there. And Vodafone just around the corner. We don't have contract SIMs anymore. I've got sort of Lebara SIMs on both of our phones. You know, who wants to pay contract rises every year, you know, above the rate of inflation. And that's the, as I've shown before on my videos, that's the Costa Coffee, and it looks as though somebody's kicked the door in. That's boarded up now. Unfortunate situation. This was a great place in Bridlington at one point. And for many years you could go upstairs there and they still had the old sofa and the comfortable chairs that Costa Coffee used to have a long time ago. Superdrug, the King's Arms. Worth pointing out is the lifeboat place here, the supporting the RNLI lifeboats, where you can buy things here and support them. see these seagulls are all perhaps earlier on this year. You can tell by the juvenile plumage there, can't you? Especially that one over there, look. And this one's looking expectantly. Perhaps it's still expecting its parents to turn up. Got that look about them, you know. Instead of being out looking for food, they're hanging about in the town centre. Perhaps it's a lot better to be able to get a mouthful of a Greg's pasty or something. When they get bigger, of course, they'll be hanging about over the harbour and swooping on people, taking chips, or even stealing entire fish and chips. They can just come over your shoulder. If you're at Bridlington, if you're not familiar with the UK and you've not been here, these seagulls are very bold. If you're holding sort of fish and chips in your hand like that, they just swoop over your shoulder and even take a whole fish or half a fish out of your hand without you looking. And of course the birds have been here many years, haven't they? I mean, the dinosaurs, aren't they, right back from that era, and living for millennia in the cliffs, nesting on the cliffs around here, the short cliffs. Now these buildings to a seagull must just be like a cliff, mustn't they? I mean, what do they know? And presumably the seagulls will be here long after we've gone. I mean, well, they survived the dinosaurs, didn't they? The land-based ones. Apart from the crocodiles, just mentioning crocodiles, I took a video in Australia, in Darwin. If you're interested in seeing a jumping crocodile cruise in the Australia section of my channel, I went on a jumping crocodile cruise there, and I've seen these things at close up from literally less than 2 meters away, and they're incredible things to look at up close. On that trip, it was about 40°C on the open deck of a alloy deck of a boat with the sun burning down. It was so hot, I could feel my Apple Watch burning the back of my wrist with heat, with the sun on the face of it there. Exactly the opposite at Bridlington this morning, where it's almost freezing my hands off. Oh, here again we have the pirate ship. And I think that's Sean, who is the owner, or one of the owners of that ship. Just to point out that it was just here on one of the last trips a few weeks ago that my wife was racially abused by a group of men, telling her to go back to her home country, shouting at her, about 5 or 6 of them, and pulling their eyes back in a squint. Not very nice. But again, something to bear in mind if you're thinking of coming here. That hasn't happened to us anywhere in West Yorkshire, although it did happen in Malton, North Yorkshire during this summer. and we parked the car there. We were on the way to Whitby. We parked the car in Malton, got out of the car, and I went off to one side, and there was a motorist in one of these expensive cars, pulled a face at her and shouted at her. Literally 2 minutes later, a bit the other side of the car park in Malton. You might be familiar with Malton, where the church is and everything. She's just walking past the edge of the church there, and a well-dressed woman aged about 40, wearing country tweeds, looking prosperous, pulled her face at my wife and again pulled her eyes back in a sprint. What nastiness, you know. Which sort of put us both off going to Malton again, and again it's something to bear in mind. And you know, if that keeps happening, if it happens again in Bridlington, I'll probably draw a line under filming Bridlington for posterity and start filming other places. This is, my channel is not about any money. I'm not interested in any money, and if you'll notice, I don't ask anyone to subscribe either. That's because I'm just sort of filming places for posterity, and sort of a gift for the future to the communities and towns and cities that I'm filming. The videos I'm making of Bridlington, really a gift to the community, so, you know, we don't want to come and be racially abused by people during the course of doing that. And here we have Summer Sky, that second boat in there. Free Spirit is the red and white one. Gansey Lass is the fishing cobble behind that. And here we have someone working away there. You've got the blue one over there is Striker. Can't see what that one is. We've got that one over there with its flags. And here we've got Artemis, if that's how you pronounce it, and Amigo. So let's walk again along here. I'm probably one of the very few channels, or maybe even the only channel on YouTube who doesn't care about well, subscriptions. Yeah, it's good to subscribe. I mean, it shows you it shows me that you like the videos if you subscribe to it, and you can sort of see the new videos coming up. But that's about it, really. Yeah. No intention of trying to monetize this channel. In fact, in the unlikely event it ever reached a point where that occurred, I wouldn't want the tax implications of doing that for a start off. I'm already a taxpayer, even though I'm retired. We can see here the tide is coming further in. You're probably not going to be able to see it, but right at the top of that flagpole there's a piston-engined small aircraft. I remember coming to Bridlington in the 1970s. and before that, and there was always, you'd arrive and there'd be a sort of a very small aircraft like that flying over. You'd hear the drone a bit. Look at this, I'd noticed this before. Honouring Kenneth Cook of Bridlington, one of the 3 survivors of the sinking of the SS Lulworth Hill, 19th of March 1943. And it says, awarded the George and Lloyd's Medal for bravery after spending 50 days in a raft before rescue by HMS Rapid. Oh, I read that. You can look it up on Wikipedia, of course, like you look anything up these days. Very interesting, very brave guy to have, a lucky guy to have survived that. So here we are, we've more than come full circle. And I'll walk to the edge here. Look again at the tide coming in on the North Beach, and at this point I'll say goodbye from Bridlington, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Take care now, and goodbye for now.